Long-haul truckers spend their lives on America's loneliest roads, driving through endless darkness, empty towns, and stretches of highway where help is hours away. Over the years, many have reported encounters they still can't explain. A trucker in Nevada saw the same hitchhiker 6 times in one night, always 30 miles apart, always perfectly still, until the last time, when the figure was facing away from the road. Another driver was followed by an 18-wheeler with no one behind the wheel. One driver took an exit that doesn't exist on any map and has the receipt to prove it, dated 40 years in the past. These are not urban legends or campfire stories. These are first-hand accounts from truckers who say some highways don't just lead through darkness, they hide it. Before we begin, welcome to Broken Shadows. This channel is dedicated to true horror, the kind that doesn't need exaggeration because reality is disturbing enough. If you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications. We post stories like this every week, and leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from tonight. We love hearing from you. Now let's begin. Tonight we're counting down 10 terrifying trucker encounters on America's darkest highways. I've been driving I-80 through Nevada for 11 years. Same route, same schedule, same empty desert every third Tuesday. I haul auto parts from Reno to Salt Lake City. It's not glamorous work, but it's steady. The kind of reliable income that keeps a mortgage paid and doesn't ask too much of you except your time and your attention. Most nights, I don't see another soul for hours. Just darkness, the center line, and whatever thoughts I bring with me. I listen to podcasts, old country music, sometimes nothing at all, just the drone of the engine and the hum of the tires on asphalt. But in March of 2019, something changed. It was a Tuesday, cold for March, even in the desert. I left Reno around 11 p.m., right on schedule. Traffic was light. A few passenger cars heading east, probably to Elko or beyond. By midnight, I had the road to myself. The first time I saw him, it was around 2 a.m., just past Winnemucca. I came over a rise, and there he was, a man standing on the shoulder. Older guy, maybe 60, denim jacket, jeans, work boots. One hand raised, not waving, not thumbing for a ride. Just up, like he was reaching for something that wasn't there. His face was lit by my headlights, but I couldn't make out his expression. No details, just the pale oval of a face and that raised hand. I don't pick up hitchhikers. Company policy, insurance won't cover it. More than that, it's just common sense. You don't know who you're letting into your cab. Out here in the middle of nowhere, that decision could get you killed. So I passed him. I watched him shrink in my side mirror until he was just a speck, and then nothing. I thought about him for a few miles. Wondered what he was doing out there. Wondered if he was okay. But I didn't turn around. I had a schedule to keep. 30 miles later, I saw him again. Same jacket, same posture, same raised hand. I hit the brakes without thinking. Not hard. Just enough to slow down, enough to process what I was seeing. It was him, I was sure of it. The same build, the same clothes, the same stance. But that was impossible. I checked my odometer. I'd driven exactly 31 miles since the first sighting. I'd been doing 70, 75 the whole way. No stops. No slowdowns except for this moment right now. There was no way he could have gotten ahead of me. I looked in my mirrors. No headlights behind me, no tail lights ahead. No cars at all. just empty highway stretching in both directions. I kept driving. My hands were tighter on the wheel now. My heart was beating a little faster. I told myself it was a coincidence. 2 different people. Same jacket, same build. It happens. But I didn't believe it. 30 miles later, he appeared again. This time I didn't slow down. I kept my speed, kept my eyes forward. But I saw him. Same spot. Right shoulder, just off the white line. Same raised hand. I started doing the math in my head. 3 sightings, 30 miles apart. Always on the right shoulder. Always perfectly still. I grabbed my CB radio, keyed up. Any eastbound drivers on I-80, this is the Freightliner passing mile marker 240. Anybody else seeing anything weird tonight? Static. I tried again. Nothing. The 4th time I saw him, I was ready. I had my phone in my hand, camera open. I was going to take a photo, prove to myself this was real, that I wasn't losing my mind. But when I raised the phone, my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't keep it steady. The image was a blur of light and darkness. I gave up and just watched him pass. Same man, same hand, same empty expression. The 5th time I started praying. I'm not religious. Haven't been to church since I was a kid. But out there, alone, watching the same impossible thing happen over and over. I didn't know what else to do. The 6th time, he was facing away from the road. That's what broke me. I could see the back of his head, the denim jacket, and his arm was still raised, but now it looked like he was pointing east, pointing the direction I was going. I pulled over. Right there, mile marker 362. I stopped the truck, put on my hazards, and just sat there. My breath was fogging up the windshield. My hands were still shaking. I don't know how long I sat there. 10 minutes? 20? Long enough for the cold to seep into the cab. Long enough for the silence to feel like a presence. I didn't see him again that night. I got to Salt Lake City around 9 a.m. I was 3 hours behind schedule. I filed my report, unloaded the cargo, and told dispatch I needed a personal day. They didn't ask questions. The next week I went back to driving the route. I told myself it was a hallucination, exhaustion, maybe carbon monoxide from a leak I didn't know about. I had the truck inspected, everything checked out, but I couldn't let it go. I contacted dispatch and asked them to pull my dashcam footage from that night. We have forward-facing cameras in all the trucks, automatic recording, stored on a hard drive. They sent me the files. I watched the whole drive, every mile. In every frame where I saw him, the shoulder was empty. Just asphalt, sagebrush, darkness, no man, no jacket, no raised hand. But in the final clip, the one where he was facing away from the road, there's something, a shadow on the asphalt, long and sharp, stretching across both lanes, cast by nothing I could see. And if you look closely, really closely, you can see the shadow move just slightly, like something was walking. I still drive that route. I still leave Reno every 3rd Tuesday. I haven't seen him since. But every 30 miles, I hold my breath. I check the shoulder, and I wonder if one night he'll be facing toward the road again, waiting. This happened to me in January of 2020. I was hauling refrigerated freight, frozen vegetables, headed south from Amarillo to Roswell on Highway 54. I've been doing this for 17 years. I know that route like the back of my hand. Every turn, every grade, every spot where the wind hits you sideways and tries to push you into the other lane. It was a clear night, cold but clear. No traffic, no weather, just me and the road. I left Amarillo around midnight, made good time through the first 100 miles. I was listening to an audiobook, some crime thriller I'd downloaded a week earlier and kept forgetting to finish. The narrator had one of those smooth, hypnotic voices, the kind that makes you zone out if you're not careful. Around 3 a.m., just past the New Mexico border, I noticed headlights behind me. High beams, bright, close. I glanced in my driver's side mirror, an older Peterbilt, maybe from the 80s, dull chrome, no company markings, no visible cab number, just a big, blunt grille and those blinding lights. I flashed my trailer lights, the universal signal for back off. Truckers understand that. You don't tailgate another rig, especially on an open highway at night. It's dangerous and disrespectful. The truck didn't back off. I tapped my brakes. Just a light tap, enough to make my brake lights flare. The truck stayed exactly where it was. 3 car lengths behind me, maybe less. I could see it clearly now, the details, the square headlights, the flat hood. The windshield was dark, tinted maybe, or just reflecting the night. I couldn't see the driver. I tried the CB. Southbound Peterbilt on 54, you're riding my tail, give me some space. Static. I tried again. Peterbilt, this is the southbound reefer, back it off. Nothing. I turned the squelch down, checked the channel. It was set to 19, same as always. But all I got was dead air. That's when I started to feel it, that low-level hum of unease, the kind that starts in your gut and spreads. I sped up, pushed from 65 to 70. The truck matched me. I went to 75. It stayed 3 car lengths back. I slowed down to 55. It slowed down. Exactly, perfectly, like it was tethered to me. I watched it in my mirror. The lights didn't waver. The distance didn't change. It was like the driver, whoever it was, wasn't even trying. Just following. The road through that part of New Mexico is empty. No towns, no exits, just long, straight stretches through scrub desert. The kind of emptiness that makes you feel small. I kept driving, kept watching the mirrors. The truck stayed. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. My hands were sweating. I wiped them on my jeans, one at a time, keeping my grip on the wheel. I thought about pulling over, confronting whoever it was. But something stopped me. Some instinct that said, don't stop. Keep moving. Finally, I saw a turnout ahead. A small gravel pull-off. The kind the highway department uses for maintenance vehicles. I made a decision. I signaled, slowed down, pulled onto the shoulder and stopped. The truck pulled up behind me, lights still on, engine still running. I sat there waiting, watching the mirror. No one got out. The engine idled, a low, steady rumble. I could hear it through my closed windows. I waited another minute, then 2. Still nothing. I reached for my door handle. My heart was pounding. I didn't want to get out. Every instinct told me to stay inside, lock the doors, and wait. But I couldn't just sit there. I opened the door. The cold hit me immediately, sharp, dry. I stepped down onto the gravel. The truck was still running. I could see the exhaust rising in the darkness, lit by the red glow of my taillights. I walked toward it, slowly. My boots crunched on the gravel. "Hey," I called out. "What's your problem?" No answer. I got closer. Close enough to see the grill, the hood, the windshield. There was no one in the cab. I stopped, stared. The engine was running, the lights were on, but the driver's seat was empty. I took a step back. And that's when the truck vanished. Not slowly, not gradually, just gone. One moment it was there, solid, real, idling 10 feet in front of me. The next, it was empty air. No sound, no flash of light, just silence and darkness. I stood there, alone on the shoulder. The wind picked up cold and dry, carrying the smell of sage. I looked down. No tire marks in the gravel, no oil stains, no sign anything had been there at all. I got back in my truck, locked the doors. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. I sat there for 5 minutes trying to process what I'd just seen. Then I drove. I didn't stop again until I reached Roswell. The next day I told the story to another driver at the truck stop. Older guy, been on the road for 30 years. He didn't laugh, didn't look surprised. He just said, "Highway 54? I nodded. "You're not the first," he said, "and you won't be the last." I asked him what it was. He shrugged. "Some roads have ghosts," he said. "Some have something worse." I still drive 54. I have to. It's part of my route. But I don't drive it at night anymore. And if I see headlights behind me, if they get too close, stay too steady, I pull over. I let them pass. Because I know now, sometimes there's no one to pass. I ran a route through Missouri for 3 years. I-44, late shift. I'd leave St. Louis around 9 p.m. and head west. Delivery in Tulsa by morning. It was a good route, reliable. The kind of work that doesn't surprise you. I passed the same exits every time, same truck stops, same rest areas. I had the whole thing memorized. Exit 309 was one of those places I'd passed 100 times and never thought twice about. Nothing special. Gas station, closed diner, couple of trees. The kind of exit that exists just to break up the emptiness. One night in October, late October, maybe a week before Halloween, my fuel light came on earlier than expected. I'd filled up in St. Louis. I should have had enough to make it to my usual stop near Springfield, but the gauge was pushing empty and I didn't want to risk it. I took exit 309. The off-ramp curved down into darkness. No street lights, just my headlights cutting through the trees. The gas station was at the bottom of the ramp. Old place, faded sign. But the lights were on. I pulled in. The lot was empty, no cars, no other trucks, just me. I parked at the pump and got out. The air was cold, damp. It smelled like rain, but the sky was clear. I started filling up. The pump was old, mechanical, not digital. The numbers spun slowly, clicking with each gallon. That's when I noticed there was no attendant. The station was one of those older places where someone's supposed to be working the register. But the booth was empty, lights on, but no one inside. I finished pumping, 42 gallons. I walked to the booth to pay. The door was unlocked. Inside, the register was on. The screen glowed faintly. There was a cup of coffee on the counter, still steaming. A set of keys sat next to it. A jacket hung on a hook by the bathroom door. Everything looked normal, lived in, like someone had just stepped away. "Hello," I called out. No answer. I waited, looked around. There was a small TV on a shelf playing static, a calendar on the wall flipped to October, a clipboard with handwritten notes I couldn't quite read in the dim light. I left cash on the counter, enough to cover the fuel. I'm not a thief. I walked back outside. That's when I noticed the diner. It was across the lot, maybe 50 yards away. I hadn't paid attention to it before, but now I could see it clearly. Lights were on inside, flickering but on. and there was someone sitting in one of the booths. Just a silhouette, facing the window. I don't know why I walked over. Curiosity, maybe. Or loneliness. I'd been driving for 4 hours and hadn't spoken to anyone. The closer I got, the more wrong it felt. The air smelled strange. Not like rain anymore, like burnt plastic. Like something chemical and sharp. The lights inside the diner were flickering, but not randomly. It was a pattern. On, off, on, off. Steady, deliberate. I reached the door. It was glass, smudged with dirt and handprints. The figure in the booth didn't move. I put my hand on the door handle. It was cold. Colder than it should have been. I looked through the glass. The figure wasn't a person. It was a coat. A heavy winter coat, draped over the seat, positioned like someone was wearing it. The hood was up. The arms were resting on the table, but underneath there was nothing. No body, no hands, no face. Just the coat, sitting there, filled with air. I stepped back. The lights inside stopped flickering. They went dark, all at once. I turned and ran. I didn't look back. I got in my truck, started the engine, and drove. I got back on I-44 and didn't stop until I reached Springfield. At the truck stop, I pulled out my atlas. I still carry a paper one, old habit, and looked for exit 309. It wasn't there. I checked again. Flipped through the pages, I-44 through Missouri, every exit marked. No exit 309. I thought maybe I'd misread the sign. Looked up 308, 310. Neither matched what I remembered. 2 weeks later, I searched online. Looked up every exit on I-44 in Missouri. I cross-referenced state maps, Google Maps, trucker forums. Exit 309 doesn't exist. Never did. But I have the receipt. I kept it. I don't know why. Maybe to prove to myself it was real. It's in my glove box. Faded now. The ink is smudged. But you can still read the name of the station, the date, the amount. And at the bottom, in small print, exit 309. I still drive I-44, but I don't stop at exits I don't recognize. And if I see lights where there shouldn't be any, I keep going. Because some places aren't meant to be found, and some places don't let you leave. CB radios are a lifeline out here. Most people don't use them anymore, not with cell phones and GPS, but truckers still do. We use them to stay awake, warn each other about traffic, pass the time. Channel 19 is the main one. It's always busy, always live. You get to know the voices, the regulars, the guys who run the same routes you do. You don't know their faces, but you know their handles, their rhythms. In the summer of 2020, I was driving through Wyoming on I-25, north of Cheyenne, south of Casper. Wide open country, flat and empty. It was a quiet night. Just me and maybe 2 other drivers on the channel. We'd been chatting on and off for an hour, nothing serious, weather, road conditions, the usual. Around 1 a.m., a new voice came through, a woman, calm, clear. She said, "Northbound driver in the Freightliner, you need to pull over." I was the only northbound Freightliner for miles. I keyed up. "Who is this?" No answer. The other drivers went quiet. I waited, watched the road. Nothing unusual, just darkness and center line. A minute later, she came back. "You're going to see something in 4 miles. Don't stop. Don't look too long." My hands were sweating. I wiped them on my jeans. I keyed up again. "Who the hell is this? Identify yourself." Static. I checked my mirrors. No one behind me, no cars ahead, just empty highway. I looked at my odometer, watched the miles tick by. 3 miles, 4. That's when I saw it. A car on the shoulder, hazards on, driver's door open. It was a sedan, dark color, maybe blue or black. Hard to tell in the darkness. I slowed down, not much, just enough to get a better look. The door was wide open, the interior light was on, but I couldn't see anyone inside. That's when the voice came back, sharper this time, urgent. I said, "Don't stop." I hit the gas. My heart was pounding. I looked in my mirror as I passed. The car was still there, hazards blinking. But there was something else, a shape, standing a few feet away from the car, just outside the reach of my taillights. I couldn't make out details, just a silhouette, tall, thin, motionless. I keyed the CB, hands shaking. "Who are you? How do you know where I am?" Static. Then, quietly, someone who stopped. The radio went dead. I tried keying up again. Nothing, just silence. I didn't see the car in my mirrors. It was gone, like it had never been there. When I got to the next truck stop, Casper, about 40 miles up, I was shaking so badly I had to sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes before I could go inside. I asked around, told the story to a few drivers. No one else had heard her. But one driver, an older guy sitting alone in the corner booth, looked at me for a long time. "Channel 19?" he asked. I nodded. He shook his head. "Don't answer voices you don't recognize." "Why? Who was she?" He didn't answer. Just finished his coffee and walked out. I still use the CB. I have to. It's part of the job. But I don't answer voices I don't recognize. And when I drive that stretch of I-25, I keep my speed up. Because I think about what she said. Someone who stopped. And I wonder, if I had pulled over, would I still be driving? Or would I be the one on the radio warning the next person? I've been an independent contractor for 6 years. I haul anything that's furniture, equipment, pallets of retail goods. I don't ask questions as long as the paperwork's clean and the pay's fair. Most of my contracts come through a broker. They send the details, I confirm, I pick up the load, I deliver. Simple. Last April, I got a call for a job, Pennsylvania to Omaha. The client was some LLC I'd never heard of, Greystone Logistics or something like that. Payment was up front, which was unusual but not unheard of. The pickup was at a warehouse outside Scranton. I'd never been there before, but the address checked out. I drove through the night, arrived around 6 a.m. The warehouse was small, concrete block building, no windows, a single rolling door in front. When I pulled up, the door was already open. The trailer was sitting in the loading bay, already sealed. A guy in a high-vis vest waved me over. He didn't say much, just handed me the paperwork, checked my ID, and told me to hook up and go. I did my pre-trip inspection, checked the trailer. The seal was intact. Everything looked normal. I hooked up and started driving. The first 2 days were fine. I made good time, stopped at the usual places, ate, slept, kept moving. But the third night, somewhere in Nebraska, west of Lincoln, I started to feel uneasy. It was around midnight. I was on a quiet stretch of I-80, no traffic, just darkness. I stopped at a rest area to check my straps and do a walk around. Routine stuff. I walked around the trailer. Everything looked secure. The seal was still intact. But then I heard it. A thump from inside the trailer. I froze. Listened. Another thump. Then a scraping sound, like something being dragged across the floor. I told myself it was the load shifting. That's normal, happens all the time, especially with freight that's not packed tight. But the scraping didn't stop. It went on for 10, 15 seconds. Slow, deliberate. Then silence. I pulled out my phone, called the broker, voicemail. I called the client number on the paperwork. It rang and rang. No answer. I looked at the delivery address again, checked it on my GPS. It was an empty lot. Just a pin on the map, no building, no name. That's when I made the decision. I cut the seal. I know I wasn't supposed to. The paperwork was clear, deliver sealed, don't open. But I didn't care. I needed to know what I was hauling. I unlocked the trailer doors, pulled them open. The trailer was empty, completely empty. No pallets, no freight, no boxes. Just an empty 53-foot trailer. But the floor was covered in scratches. Deep ones, fresh. The kind that go through the coating and into the wood underneath. They ran the length of the trailer, long parallel gouges, like something had been clawing, trying to get out. I stood there staring, my breath fogging in the cold. Then I heard it again. A scraping sound, but this time it wasn't coming from the trailer, it was coming from behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just the empty rest area. Street lights buzzing. Wind moving through the trees. I shut the trailer doors. I didn't reseal them. I got in the cab, locked the doors, and sat there. I didn't sleep. I just waited for the sun. At first light, I drove straight to the nearest way station. I told them I was abandoning the load, that something was wrong. They inspected the trailer, found nothing, no scratches, no marks, just an empty, clean trailer. They asked if I was feeling okay. If I needed medical attention, I told them I was fine, but I wasn't. I drove home. I called the broker, told them I was done with that contract. They said the client had already paid in full and didn't require delivery anymore. I asked why. They didn't know. I don't take unsealed loads anymore. And I don't haul for clients I can't verify, because I still hear it sometimes late at night when I'm alone on the road. That scraping sound, like something trying to get out or trying to get in. There's a rest stop on I-70 in Kansas. Small place, cinder block building, vending machines, a couple of bathrooms. The kind of place you stop, use, and forget. I've stopped there a dozen times, never thought twice about it, until February of 2021. I was driving east, headed to Kansas City. It was late, past 4 a.m. The kind of late where the world feels like it's holding its breath. I needed to stretch my legs, use the restroom. I took the rest stop exit. The parking lot was empty, just my truck and a couple of street lights, throwing pale yellow light across the asphalt. I went inside. The lights were buzzing, fluorescent, too bright, the kind that make everything look sickly. I used the restroom, washed my hands, and came back out into the main area. That's when I saw him. A man standing by the vending machines. Older, maybe 60, 65, wearing a maintenance uniform, dark blue coveralls, name patch on the chest. I couldn't read the name from where I was standing. He smiled. Long night? I nodded. Yeah. Where you headed? Kansas City. He nodded slowly. Long way to go. Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. Not the words, the tone. Flat. Empty. I walked over to the vending machine. Bought a coffee. The machine was old. It rattled and hummed. When I turned around, he was standing in front of the door. I hadn't heard him move. You forgot something, he said. I didn't forget anything. He pointed behind me. I turned. My keys were sitting on the bench by the restroom. I'd set them down when I washed my hands. I grabbed them. Thanks. When I turned back, he was gone. I looked around. The restroom doors were closed. The vending machine area was empty. I walked outside. Fast. My boots echoed on the concrete. The parking lot was still empty. No maintenance truck, no vehicle at all except mine. I looked at the asphalt. No footprints, no oil stains, no tire tracks except my own. I got in my truck, locked the doors. That's when I saw him again, standing in the window of the rest stop, just standing there, watching me. I started the engine. I didn't look back. 3 months later, I saw a news story. They found a body buried behind that rest stop. Construction crew was doing expansion work. They dug up the old septic area and found remains. A maintenance worker. Been there for 15 years. They identified him by his uniform, by the name patch. The article had a photo. I recognized him immediately. It was him. Same face, same coveralls, same empty smile. I don't stop at that rest area anymore. I drive past it. I hold it. I wait until the next one, because I keep thinking about what he said. You forgot something. And I wonder, what if I hadn't turned around? What if I just left? Would my keys still be on that bench, or would I? This happened to me 2 years ago. Route 50, heading east through the mountains of West Virginia. It's a beautiful drive during the day. Dense forest, steep grades, the kind of road that makes you respect the landscape. But at night, it's different. At night, Route 50 feels like it goes on forever. I was running a delivery from Parkersburg to Winchester, Virginia. Left around 10 p.m., the route takes you through some of the most remote parts of the state. Small towns, long stretches of nothing. It was late, past 2 a.m., when the fog started rolling in. Not unusual for that area. The mountains trap moisture. Fog comes fast and thick. But this was different. This was the kind of fog that swallows your headlights, the kind where you can barely see 10 feet ahead. I slowed down, turned on my hazards, kept my eyes on the center line. That's when I saw the sign. Grafton, 12 miles. I knew Grafton, small city. I'd passed through it before. 12 miles, 10 minutes or so at my current speed. I kept driving. The fog didn't lift. If anything, it got worse. 10 minutes passed. I saw the sign again. Grafton, 12 miles. I checked my odometer. I'd definitely driven 12 miles, maybe more. I kept going another 10 minutes. Same sign, same distance. Grafton, 12 miles. My hands tightened on the wheel. I looked at my GPS. It was spinning. The blue dot circling in place like it couldn't figure out where I was. No signal, no map. Just a blank screen with a loading symbol. I pulled over, turned on the interior light, checked my phone, no service. I tried the radio, static. Nothing but static. I put the truck in gear and started driving again. Same sign. Grafton, 12 miles. I counted this time, watched the odometer, drove exactly 12 miles. The sign appeared again. I was looping. I tried turning around. But when I looked in my mirrors, the road behind me was gone. Just fog, thick and gray and endless. I don't know how many times I passed that sign. 10? 20? I lost count. But then I started noticing something else, a figure, standing on the side of the road. At first I thought it was a trick of the fog, a shadow, a tree. But each time I passed, it was closer to the road. The first time, it was deep in the trees, just a vague shape. The second time, it was at the tree line. The third time, it was on the shoulder. By the 10th loop, it was standing at the edge of my lane. I couldn't make out details. Just a tall, dark shape. humanoid, but wrong. On the last loop, it was standing in the middle of the highway, directly in my path. I couldn't stop in time. I slammed the brakes, but the truck was too heavy, the road too slick. I braced for impact. I hit it, or I should have. But there was no impact, no sound, no jolt, just a flash of cold. So cold, it felt like my lungs were freezing. And then I was through. The fog lifted. I was on Route 50, normal road, clear night, sign ahead. Grafton, 2 miles. I pulled into the first gas station I saw, a little 24-hour place on the outskirts of town. I was shaking so hard I couldn't hold my coffee. The clerk asked if I was okay. I told him I got lost in the fog. He nodded. Route 50? Yeah. He didn't say anything for a moment, just looked at me, then, you made it out then. I stared at him. What? Some people don't, he said. Some people just keep driving. I asked him what he meant. He didn't answer, just turned back to his register. I left. I finished the delivery. But I don't drive Route 50 at night anymore. I take the long way, I-79, even though it adds an hour. Because I keep thinking about that figure. And I keep thinking about what the clerk said. Some people just keep driving. And I wonder if I hadn't hit it, if I'd stopped instead, would I still be there? Driving the same 12 miles over and over forever. I don't pick up hitchhikers. I never have. It's not just company policy, it's common sense. You don't know who you're letting into your cab. Out here on these empty roads, that's a risk you don't take. But in August of 2018, I stopped for someone. I was on Highway 95 in Idaho, heading south from Coeur d'Alene to Boise. It's a long, lonely drive. Mostly forest and mountains. Not a lot of towns. It was late. Maybe 1 a.m. I'd been on the road for 6 hours. That's when I saw him. A kid. Standing on the shoulder. Young. Maybe 19, 20, soaking wet. Even though it wasn't raining. He was just standing there, not waving, not thumbing. Just standing. I passed him, but something made me look in the mirror. He was still standing there. Perfectly still. Watching my truck disappear. I don't know why I stopped. I've thought about it 1,000 times. Some instinct, some stupid human instinct that says, help him. I pulled over, put on my hazards, waited. A few seconds later, he knocked on my window. I rolled it down. He was younger than I thought. Pale, shaking. His clothes were dripping water onto the asphalt. Please, he said, I need to get to Boise. Every part of me said no. Every instinct screamed, drive away. But I didn't. I unlocked the door. He climbed in. Didn't say thank you. Didn't say anything. He just sat there, staring straight ahead. I pulled back onto the highway. You okay? I asked. He nodded. What happened? Why are you all wet? He didn't answer. We drove in silence for 10, 15 minutes. Then he spoke. Do you know what happens when you die on this highway? I glanced at him. His face was pale, bloodless. His clothes were still dripping. I could hear the water hitting the floor mat. What? You keep going, he said. You don't stop, you just keep going. I pulled over, right there, middle of nowhere. Get out. He turned to look at me. His eyes were wrong. Not the color, not the shape. It was just empty, like he was looking through me, through the truck, through everything. I can't, he said. Get out. He opened the door. Slowly. Stepped onto the shoulder. I watched him in the mirror. He walked into the darkness. Didn't look back, just walked until I couldn't see him anymore. I sat there for 5 minutes, shaking. my breath fogging the windshield. Then I drove. The next morning I looked it up. Highway 95, Idaho, deaths. I found an article. A 19-year-old kid had died in a crash 3 years earlier. Drove off the road into a ravine. His car went into the water. His body was found a week later. The photo matched. Same face, same age, same build. I still drive that route. I have to. It's part of my job. But I lock my doors now, and sometimes late at night, I smell it. Wet clothes, cold water, the smell of a river. And I check the passenger seat just to make sure it's empty. Because I think about what he said. You keep going. And I wonder if he's still out there, still walking, still waiting for someone to stop. I was hauling through Montana on Highway 2, flathead country, middle of nowhere. It was September, cold, clear, no moon, just darkness and stars. I'd left Kalispell around midnight, headed east toward Cut Bank. It's a straight shot, quiet, beautiful during the day, eerie at night. Around 3 a.m., I noticed lights behind me, not headlights, too high, too bright, and the color was wrong. Not yellow, not white, just bright, pure light. They stayed back at first, maybe a quarter mile. I thought it was another truck, maybe a tall one, logging truck or something. But they didn't move like a vehicle. They hovered, swayed, like they were floating. I checked my speed. I was doing 65. The lights kept pace. I sped up to 70. They stayed the same distance back. I slowed to 55. They slowed. I tried the CB. Eastbound traffic on Highway 2. Anybody else seeing lights? Static. I tried again. Nothing. The lights got closer. I could see them clearly now in both mirrors. 2 of them, spheres, bright enough to wash out everything else. My radio started crackling. Then a sound came through. Not a voice, not static. Breathing, slow, deep, wet. I turned the radio off. The sound didn't stop. It was coming from everywhere, from the dash, from the walls, from inside my own head. I slammed the gas, pushed the truck to 80. The lights stayed with me, then they moved. Not closer. Alongside, I looked out the driver's window. The light was right there, level with my cab, pacing me, and inside the light I saw something, a shape. Tall, thin, wrong. Like a person but stretched. Distorted. It turned its head. I don't know what it was. I don't have words for it, but it looked at me. I shut my eyes, gripped the wheel, counted to 10. When I opened them, the lights were gone. I pulled into a truck stop an hour later. I was pale, shaking, covered in sweat. Another driver saw me, asked if I was okay. I told him what happened. He didn't laugh, didn't look surprised. Highway 2? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, he said, don't look at them. They leave faster if you don't look. I asked what they were. He just shook his head. Some things don't have names. I still drive Highway 2. I don't have a choice. But I keep my eyes forward. And if I see lights that don't belong, I don't look. Because I know now, some things are watching. And if you look back, they see you too. This one still keeps me up at night. I was driving I-40 through the Texas Panhandle, late November cold, empty highway. I'd been on the road for 8 hours. I was tired, low on fuel, low on coffee. Around 4 a.m., I saw a sign. Last stop fuel and food 1 mile. I didn't recognize the name, but I needed fuel. I took the exit. The off-ramp curved down into darkness. No lights, just my headlights and the road. At the bottom, there was a truck stop, old, faded paint, gravel lot. But the lights were on. There were a few trucks parked outside. 3, maybe 4. Older models? The kind you don't see much anymore. I pulled in, parked at the pump. The air was cold. Still, it smelled like diesel and dust. I started filling up. The pump was old, mechanical. The numbers spun slowly. While I waited, I looked around. The trucks in the lot, they were old, really old. 70s, maybe earlier, rusted, worn. But their engines were running. I could hear them. That low, steady idle, but no one was inside them. I walked over to the nearest one, a Kenworth, dull green paint, cracked windshield. The driver's seat was empty. The keys were in the ignition. I checked the others. Same thing. Engines running. Keys in the ignition. No drivers. I went inside. The place was small. A counter, a few aisles of snacks, a coffee station. Everything looked old. Vintage almost. There was a man behind the counter. Older. Maybe 70. He didn't look up when I walked in. I grabbed a coffee, walked to the counter. He rang it up. Still didn't look at me. I paid. He handed me the change. His hand was cold. I walked outside. That's when I noticed it. The trucks in the lot, they all had the same company logo, a logo I recognized, a trucking company that hadn't existed in 40 years. My grandfather used to work for them. I got back in my truck, started the engine. I looked at the receipt, the date printed on it, November 14th, 1981. I dropped it. My hands were shaking. I put the truck in gear and drove. Fast. When I got back on the highway, I looked for the exit. It wasn't there. No sign, no off-ramp. Just empty highway. I checked my GPS. No record of it. I asked other drivers. No one had heard of it. But I still have the receipt. It's in my glove box. Faded, fragile, but real. And sometimes, late at night, I see the sign again. Last stop, fuel and food, 1 mile. I never take the exit because I don't think the people who do ever leave. I think they just keep driving over and over in trucks that don't exist anymore, on roads that shouldn't be there, forever. The highway doesn't end when the sun comes up. It just hides what's waiting in the dark. If you're a trucker, or you've ever driven long enough to lose track of time, you know the feeling. That sense that the road is watching, that you're not alone, that some places don't follow the rules. These 10 encounters are just a fraction of what's been reported over the years. Hundreds of drivers have similar stories. Some won't talk about them, some can't. Because once you see something you can't explain, it changes you. You start noticing things. Patterns, shadows, sounds that shouldn't be there. And you realize the highway is more than asphalt and lines. It's a border between what we know and what we don't, between the living and whatever comes after. If you've had an encounter you can't explain, leave it in the comments. We read every one, and let us know where you're watching from tonight. Stay safe out there. And if you see something you can't explain, don't stop. Just keep driving. And whatever you do, don't look back.